Hi everyone, for those of you who don't know Stan Efferding, he is known as the world's strongest bodybuilder. Not only is he an IFBB professional bodybuilder, but he's also a world record-holding powerlifter, and just recently he broke another world record. He is now known as the most jacked cancer patient, and now that he's dying of cancer, he has one final dying wish, which is to take everyone else to the grave with him, which is why he created the vertical diet. It's in the name. After you follow this diet for a while, your soul is going to leave your body and travel vertically, which brings me to the first issue with Stan's diet. You've got the arrow pointing in the wrong direction, Stan. After killing and eating this many animals, you're not going to go to a happy place. So just recently, Jujimufu had Stan Efferding on his channel to talk about his vertical diet, and I just have to wonder, why is Jujimufu taking diet advice from someone who's mentally disabled? He created this product called the Cooler with a K, and he marketed it as this super convenient, compact thing that can hold multiple drinks. Well, the thing is gigantic. It literally takes up an entire car seat. Nobody's gonna lug that thing around with them, and even if they had to, well, guess what? You can find coolers on Amazon that are literally half the friggin' price and can hold more stuff in it. And I know this might sound hard to believe, but some of Stan's diet advice is as stupid as that overpriced plastic jar he's selling.
Hey Stan, how many iterations of the Monster Mash, like the meal prep company, did you do before you settled on one?
You know, it took a little while. We tried to source the ingredients from the same place that I was previously buying all my ingredients, usually at Costco. So we got our bison from Great Range Bison out of Colorado, and we had to source some really high quality bone broth. We cook everything in bone broth or beef tallow as opposed to vegetable oil.
So, wow. So for those of you who don't know what beef tallow is, it's literally just fat from a cow. So you know when you're eating a steak and there's those big chunks of fat that you don't want to eat and you just cut it away and throw it out? That's beef tallow. Really appetizing, right? And it's very similar to pure butter. The saturated fat content is nearly identical. So I don't know why Stan would think beef tallow is preferable to vegetable oils, especially considering major medical institutions are all telling us to avoid saturated fat. The American Heart Association, for instance, released a report where, based on randomized trials, replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated vegetable oils reduced cardiovascular disease risk by 30%. And in the UK, the Scientific Advisory Committee on Nutrition had similar findings where, based on their report, higher saturated fat consumption is linked to raised blood cholesterol, higher intakes of saturated fat are associated with increased risk of heart disease, saturated fats should be swapped with unsaturated fats, and they found that there is no need to change current advice that saturated fat should not exceed around 10% of food energy. So, Stan, based on the most recent scientific evidence, unsaturated vegetable oils are preferable to saturated fat sources like beef tallow or butter. So where did you get this stupid idea from, and how did you f*** up this badly? This information is just so mainstream, it's just common knowledge to everyone that, yeah, saturated fat is bad, butter is bad for you. Oh wait, yeah, it's the vertical diet. This is all intentional. It's supposed to put you in the grave sooner.
Gnarlin, what did you do this time? Why the hell is there a fire going on in the kitchen? How the hell is I'm supposed to know? I was just trying to bake a cake. Well, what the hell temperature did you put the oven at? I'm pretty sure I put it at 1,000 degrees. Gnarlin, cakes is only supposed to cook at 350. No, Brandine, cakes cook faster when you put them at a higher heat. Now, can you check and see if my cake is done? Just, stick your head in the oven and just really inhale all that smoke.
Also, if you take a look at this video clip, there's some text on the screen saying that athletes like Brian Shaw have been following Stan Efferding's vertical diet. Well, that has recently been proven to be false. Brian Shaw himself uploaded a video to his YouTube channel saying that he's switching his diet. He's no longer following Stan's vertical diet because he has had a massive decrease in performance.
In the last video, I mentioned that I was going to be making some changes after the competition in Spain. The biggest one of those changes is my diet. So this is something that I've actually been struggling with for quite some time. Going into competitions, I've just felt flat. I haven't felt ready to compete, for lack of a better term. The biggest thing on the diet that I've been on is I've been really happy with the body composition changes. I feel like that's been a really positive effect, but my track record competing in strongman has not been nearly as good, actually way worse. And that's very tough for me to accept. It's something that is very disappointing to me, especially after putting in so much hard work with the meal prep, with eating, and really attacking it. So, you know, it's I've got to kind of face the facts. I need to go back to what I was doing when I was having a lot more success competing.
So again, the intention with Stan's diet was to help people live a shorter life. You know, it's designed to kill people. So it's not great for athletes. If you want to maximize athletic performance, I'd say stay away from Stan's diet. But if you want to shorten your life, if you want to die sooner, great diet. I don't think there's any other diet that I can think of that will put you in the grave sooner.
Yes, huge component of the diets. This is like nature's multivitamin, the eggs. And you would think it to be somewhat counterintuitive, but when I had Hawthorne Shaw trying to improve their kidney function, this is the #1 thing that you have to throw at fatty liver disease, and that's choline. And 6 eggs a day will give you 1,000 milligrams of choline, which is kind of the recommended dose for either preventing or healing or curing fatty liver disease. Those folks that consume the most eggs have the least fatty liver disease. Saturated fats in general, actually, when you look at alcoholism in India, those that consume the most saturated fat have the lowest alcoholic-derived fatty liver disease. So
okay, so now I'm convinced that Stan literally is trying to kill people with his diet. That whole joke I made about the vertical diet and everything, no, that actually isn't a joke. I was being dead serious. Stan is actually trying to, like, kill people. So, for his first claim, eggs are nature's multivitamin. We'll just go to Chronometer. Eggs have very little nutrition in them. They have a little bit of protein, they have a little bit of selenium, B12, but not much else. Well, compare this to nutritional yeast. A comparable serving of nutritional yeast has more protein, also has more branched-chain amino acids like leucine, and it has more vitamins in it. So, eggs are nature's multivitamin, huh, Stan? Stan also claimed that eggs can help protect against or even help someone heal from non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Well, no, that is completely and utterly false. Egg consumption is actually associated with greater risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and he also claimed that saturated fat is somehow protective against non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. No. Again, the exact opposite of what you say is true. Saturated fat is in fact the most harmful macronutrient to the human liver. So, Stan, I can't imagine where the hell you're getting this information from. I can't find any sources online anywhere that suggest that eggs and saturated fat are protective against non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So I have to assume you're deliberately trying to have people adopt your diet so they die.
Oh my god, Gnarlin, the brakes ain't working. I thought you said you're gonna fix them today. Yeah, I said I was gonna fix them today. I didn't say when I was gonna fix them today, dumbass.
now the biggest concern people would immediately have is, oh, cholesterol. Well, more recently the USDA has put forth in their latest dietary recommendations that cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern. You can eat as much as you want. Cholesterol from the diet does not result in elevated cholesterol in the bloodstream unless you have familial hypercholesteremia. And that's a small percentage of the population.
So Stan made a number of false, misleading, and downright dishonest statements here. For one thing, he claimed that the USDA changed their guidelines for dietary cholesterol, and due to a change in these guidelines, you can eat as much cholesterol as you want. It's not a risk factor for heart disease. Well, you should know, Stan, that the USDA is actually getting sued because it was found out through the Freedom of Information Act that the people responsible for making these dietary guidelines changes, they were getting paid off by the egg industry, and they used egg industry-funded research to base these claims on dietary cholesterol. So the USDA is not a reliable source of information when it comes to dietary cholesterol because they're essentially essentially paid off by the egg industry, and they were relying on egg industry-funded research, which is flawed by design, and we'll get into some of the research on dietary cholesterol in just a moment. So I almost forgot to mention that Stan is actually lying about the USDA guidelines for dietary cholesterol. The USDA did not report that dietary cholesterol is not a nutrient of concern and you can eat as much cholesterol as you want. What they actually stated in their 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines was that the key recommendation from the 2010 dietary guidelines to limit consumption of dietary cholesterol to 300 milligrams per day is not included in the 2015 edition, but this change does not suggest that dietary cholesterol is no longer important to consider when building healthy eating patterns. As recommended by the Institute of Medicine, individuals should eat as little dietary cholesterol as possible while consuming a healthy eating pattern. So, isn't that a stark contrast to what Stan Efferding claims? Stan claims you can eat as much cholesterol as you want. The USDA says so. No, if you actually read their report, they say eat as little cholesterol as possible. So Stan is lying, and his own sources that he reference say the exact opposite of what he recommends. But what I also find problematic with Stan's argument here is that he's a dishonest and he's deliberately cherry-picking information. So on the one hand, he'll refer to the USDA as a source when it comes to dietary cholesterol recommendations, but he completely ignores the USDA recommendations when it comes to saturated fat. If you take a look at the updated USDA guidelines, they recommend reducing saturated fat and replacing saturated animal fats like butter, tallow, lard with unsaturated vegetable oils, which is quite similar to the recommendations made by the American Heart Association. So why is Stan referring to the USDA when it comes to dietary cholesterol, but he's not relying on them when it comes to their advice on saturated fat? So he is deliberately cherry-picking information because he wants to design the worst diet imaginable so that you die sooner.
No, my wife is dead. Even though I'm gonna get millions of dollars from her life insurance policy, I don't know how I'm gonna live with myself without Brandine. Narlin, that's so sweet of you to say. Don't worry, baby, I'm fine. I'm gonna be with you forever. Oh, that's so good, sweetie. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Dang it.
And as for Stan's claim that dietary cholesterol does not influence your serum cholesterol score, well, that is absolutely false. I'd recommend you take a look at this meta-analysis of metabolic wart experiments. And what's interesting from this meta-analysis is that they found people who are already eating a very high cholesterol diet, if they add any more cholesterol to their diet, it'll have a negligible impact to their serum cholesterol score, whereas if you're eating very little cholesterol or no cholesterol at all, if you add any cholesterol to your diet, you will have a very significant increase to your serum cholesterol score. And that's why this chart creates a hyperbolic curve, and this is how the egg industry funds these misleading studies. What they'll do is they'll design experiments where going into the study, the people are already eating a very high cholesterol diet, so when they add eggs to their diet, it will have a negligible impact to their serum cholesterol score, and then the egg industry will falsely report that, oh, see, eggs have no impact on your serum cholesterol score, when that's obviously false. You want to be in the category of people who are eating no cholesterol, because if you are eating no cholesterol, you will have a lower serum cholesterol score. And the reason you want to have low cholesterol is because it protects you from heart disease. I'd recommend reading this review from the European Atherosclerosis Society, where in this paper they state that separate meta-analyses of over 200 prospective cohort studies, Mendelian randomization studies, and randomized trials, including more than 2 million participants with over 20 million person-years of follow-up, and over 150,000 cardiovascular events, demonstrate a remarkably consistent, dose-dependent log linear association between the absolute magnitude of exposure of the vasculature to LDL-C and the risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. So Stan, your diet is designed to kill people, it's extremely high in saturated saturated fat and cholesterol, two nutrients which raise your serum cholesterol score, and it is well recognized that serum cholesterol is the principal risk factor for heart disease. And I've taken a look on your website, and it seems that you literally go out of your way. You deliberately exclude some of the healthiest foods from your diet. So if you go over to Stan's website and you check out his meal delivery service page, he has some information on the meals, and it states that we do not use soy. Soybeans are high in lectins, which can cause indigestion, bloating, and gas. So, first thing to point out here, soy isn't the only plant food that contains lectins. There are a number of plant foods that have lectins, including potatoes. Well, if you take a look at Stan's meals that he offers people, there's a lot of meals that contain potatoes. So you don't include soy in your meals because they have lectins, but you allow for other high lectin foods. Doesn't make any sense. It's almost as if you have no idea of what you're talking about. Secondly, it's pretty rare for people to get digestive issues from lectins because people cook their foods. So as long as you're cooking your foods properly, you're probably not going to have any digestive issues from eating lectins. And most importantly, lectins have anti-cancer benefits. So you're telling me on your website here that you don't allow soy in any of your foods because it has anti-cancer properties? So like I was saying before, it's as if this diet is designed to kill people. Stan also claims that soy is high in isoflavonoids, a type of polyphenolic anti-nutrient that may act as phytoestrogen, causing hormonal changes such as elevated estrogen. That's a really interesting claim, Stan, especially since soy has never been found to elevate estrogen or lower testosterone in men, whereas dairy has. Ingestion of cow's milk has been found to increase estrogen levels and decrease testosterone in men, and guess what? Stan is totally fine with drinking cow's milk.
We went on and popped some milk in here. Milk is certainly fine if you can tolerate it. Some people have lactose intolerance, that's fine.
So isn't that funny? Stan will warn you about soy increasing your estrogen levels, which it does not. There is no evidence suggesting that soy raises your estrogen levels, but he's fine with drinking cow's milk despite it actually increasing your estrogen and decreasing your testosterone concentrations. So it's almost as if you have no idea of what you're talking about and you are a lying, dishonest fraud. I have absolutely no respect for you, Stan, but if you disagree with anything I've said here about saturated fat, cholesterol, the overall health effects of your diet, then you can come on my channel anytime and we can have a live debate. We can discuss the health impacts of some of your dietary choices and recommendations, but I doubt you will accept that offer because you are a lying coward and I'm sure you'd want to avoid being publicly embarrassed in front of a live audience. But if you have any balls, if you're not a dishonest lying coward, then you can either message me on Twitter or you can email me at my business email, businessvegangains@gmail.com. You can find my email on the About section of my channel. And we can set up a schedule and, do a live debate here. And if you like this video, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon or through my website. I have some funding perks you may find interesting. If you're looking for clothing, then check out the Vegan Gains store. And if you're looking for online coaching, then check out Quality Gains. He has customized online nutrition and training programs. Just click the link down below. It'll take you to his website. And as always, keep making those vegan and avoid dying gains.
What a relief! When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how